I'm Adam Ginsberg, your guest host tonight for Keys of Power here on QTV. I am extremely pleased to be here tonight as a guest host, actually introducing your host for QTV and Keys of Power, Qumran Taj himself. And tonight, we're going to learn all about the man, the life coach, Qumran Taj. Qumran, thank you so much for joining us, and here we go. We're on our inaugural episode.
Ooh, exciting.
Keys of Power. We want to dig in as an audience here a little bit into life coaching tonight.
Yes.
And further, I think it's really important that the audience for QTV and Keys of Power gets to know who you are. I understand you have a story tale of your own. There was some down times in every life. There's some peaks and valleys.
Yes.
And you've run into some of those valleys. Where did this begin for you? I guess, where did you bottom out? What brought you there? And what brought on from that place the inspiration and the will to not only save yourself in a sense, but now move forward as a life coach and help others?
Well, the first thing I don't want to do is give the impression that I've had the most horrific life imaginable. I've had a life that has been full of challenges. Many people have. When you're going through those times, though, it always seems like your difficulty, your challenge is just so hard, and it feels like it's worse than other people. You look at them, you see how they're going, and you don't see their inside lives. You don't see what's behind the scenes. My life has been a series of obstacles that it seems I struggled with from the very start. You asked when. Goes back to childhood. I remember when I was 4 or 5 years old, there were situations in my life that ended up causing me tremendous guilt. So I literally walked around with great guilt, tremendous fear in my heart all the time. I thought it was normal.
Did you grow up in what you would assume or feel would be a dysfunctional family of some sort? Or?
It was dysfunctional with a capital D. And yes, my parents, unbeknownst to me at the time, were extremely dysfunctional, emotionally really crippled. And as a result, coming up as a child, there were just so many things in what I was taught, what I was trained in, that were things that ended up taking decades for me to even begin to realize why I was having a problem, what those problems were, and then began the very long process of trying to fix myself.
Okay. We joke around about ourselves, and I'm really big on self-deprecating humor. But something that I know you mentioned in your bios and such was, I guess there was a battle with your weight at some point in your life. Many people
Still is, to a certain degree.
Well, you've come a long way, if that's the
I
case.
have. You should have seen me win.
Well, many people deal with those types of physical issues, whether
Yes.
it's too much or too little weight. But I bring that up because body dysmorphia issues cause a lot of pain. They cause a lot of self-esteem, self-doubt. This is whether you feel that you're too much or too little, or on either side of the scale. That's a pretty big issue to cope with. And now you're talking dysfunctional family, you're talking physical issues, and you're talking about guilt and things like this. Was this all prior to even, I guess in a sense, manhood and trekking out on your own? You kind of were already burdened?
Yes, absolutely, from a very young age.
Wow.
Yeah, and those are also, they're not only difficult issues to deal with, but they're also very, very common.
Later on in life now, divorce comes along.
Yes.
I've been there myself. That is staggering.
Yes.
So you own businesses, you have issues with businesses and things like this. I'm trying to get to where for Qumran was the moment, the bottom where you said it's over, it's done, the life has to change.
I had owned a store, but because of various issues, the store was struggling, and there was an addict upstairs, and that's where I slept. I was literally a business owner that was also homeless, and The scene that I will never forget is one day there was no heat upstairs, and it was winter time, and I had laid out blankets on a rough-hewn attic floor, and I had a glass of water beside me on the floor. That piece of floor was my end table, you know, like you have at the side of your bed. And I woke up one morning, and I looked over at the glass, and the water was frozen. That told me, you have to fix this life of yours and come back from whatever hell you were in before. And I did.
Wow, wow.
It wasn't easy.
Making that step now, I mean, you've now become someone who's a published author.
Mhm.
You're a radio host now.
Yes.
You're a creator of inspirational and life-enriching programs and strategies. This is a lot from somebody who is telling me they're laying there, waking up, literally in a frozen situation.
Yeah.
You know, Qumran, before we wrap up, there's one thing that I want to cover, and I think the audience is really going to love this. This is your personal philosophy, and I'd like to briefly read it off to you. I'm sure you know what's coming, and kind of get where this came from. And that would be probably a great way to send our audience off and wait for the next episode. Know yourself, find your path, and live your life.
Yes, it's a philosophy which really is a trilogy. In my life, the hellish situation that I came from and the degree of unhappiness that I survived and eventually overcame boiled down to three elements. And over the years, what I have learned is that lots of people who have overcome tremendous obstacles in their life, their story also always seems to contain these three elements. Know yourself is all about being able to uncover and discover your core strengths, who you really are. And I have to tell you that when we cover this in seminars and talks and what have you, everyone seems to have a knee-jerk reaction. And they say, oh, I know myself. Of course I know myself. Well, that usually happens at the beginning of the program. By the end of the program, people are really beginning to realize that a lot of what they see as themselves or who they are has really been built up by other people, by society, by their religion, by their parents, and so on and so forth. When you uncover who you are, it really is a source of power. And you also know a path in your life that will take you to what you should be doing and what you're happiest doing. So that brings you to point two, and that is find your path.
Right.
Find your path is very important, because you're going to be happiest when you're doing just the sort of thing and living the sort of life that you are best designed for.
Right.
And finally, live your life, and I usually capitalize your. What that's about is when you can live your life, you become the best version of yourself possible. And you stop living your life for other people, you live for yourself. Now, some people will say, well, geez, let's live for yourself. That sounds pretty selfish. But in actual practice, it's not selfish. What happens is that you become a better father, you become a better boss, you become a better son, you become a better daughter, a better whoever you are.
Right.
Because you have really found your core, you're moving in a direction that serves not only you best, but everyone around you as well. So it is a dynamic philosophy, and there are many parts to it. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to explain that.
Oh, of course. And you're going to be explaining a lot. Why don't you
Indeed.
explain right now some of the plans you have for QTV?
QTV is something I'm very excited about, because despite the name, it says QTV and everyone calls me Q. QTV is not just going to be about me. The idea is to bring in all of the elements that people in any situation would have that will help them to make progress or to get from point A to point B, wherever it is that they want to go. Every person's an individual, so your goals are going to be unique to you.
Right.
The things that you value are going to be unique to you. In QTV, it will be a place to go where you will be able to gain value that is value for you yourself. So there's going to be a big variety of kinds of things, not only philosophical things, inspirational issues, videos, things that I make,
Nice.
and things that we glean. Whatever it is that is on that station will be there because it has value to people who are trying to just live a better, happier life.
Wow, that's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to subscribe and stay right here on QTV on YouTube for more Keys of Power with certified professional life coach, Qumran Taj. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.